The Importance of Being Earnest. Ernest in town, Jack in the country. Algernon's flat. Algernon is sitting in a comfortable chair, eating cucumber sandwiches. Lane comes in.
Mr. Ernest Worthing is here, sir.
Jack comes in. Lane goes out.
How are you, my dear Ernest? What brings you to London?
Sitting down.
Oh, pleasure, of course.
Of course! So where have you been all this time?
In the country, terrible, boring, you know. You are eating as usual, I see, Algie. But why so many cups? And why cucumber sandwiches? Who's coming to tea?
Oh, only Aunt Augusta and Gwendolen.
Gwendolen, wonderful! I'm in love with Gwendolen. I've come to London specially to ask her to marry me.
But you told me that you were here for pleasure. That sounds more like business.
Jack moves to take a sandwich. Algernon stops him.
Please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They are for Aunt Augusta.
He eats one.
But you are eating them.
That's different. She is my aunt.
He gives Jack another plate.
Have some bread. Gwendolen loves bread.
Eating.
And it's very good bread too.
You can eat it, dear boy, but you won't marry Gwendolen, you know. She is my cousin, and before you can marry her, you must explain about Cecily.
Cecily? I don't know anyone called Cecily.
Calling.
Lane, bring me the cigarette case which Mr. Worthing left here last week.
Lane brings the cigarette case on a silver plate.
Have you had my case all this time?
Algernon takes the cigarette case. Lane goes out, opening the case and looking inside.
Well, what do I see here? This isn't your cigarette case.
Of course it's mine.
Reading.
From little Cecily with love. You don't know anyone with that name, so it can't be yours.
If you really want to know, Cecily is my aunt.
Your aunt? So why little Cecily?
Well, some aunts are tall, some are not.
Yes, but why does this small aunt say, from little Cecily with love to her Uncle Jack? You aren't her uncle, and your name isn't Jack, it's Ernest.
It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
You've always told me that it was Ernest. You answer to the name of Ernest. You are the most earnest-looking person that I've ever met. Look, your name is even on your cards.
He takes a card from the case and reads it.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, before the Albany.
Well, I'm Ernest in town and Jack in the country, and I got the cigarette case in the country.
Oh, I knew that you were a secret Banburyist.
Banburyist? What does Banburyist mean?
I'll tell you when you have explained why we are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Then give me my cigarette case first.
Here.
He gives the case but keeps the card.
There is nothing strange about it. Cecily Cardiff is the granddaughter of Mr. Thomas Cardiff, who adopted me when I was a boy. She lives at my house in the country.
Oh, and where is that house?
I'm not going to ask you to visit me there, Algie, so that doesn't matter. Before Mr. Cardiff died, he made me Cecily's guardian. That's all. That's why she calls me uncle.
Well, you still haven't told me why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
My dear Algie, I don't think that you will understand this, but it's important for a guardian to be serious about things. It's hard for me to be serious all the time.
That's true. Now go on.
I need to escape London sometimes to enjoy myself. So I pretend that I have a younger brother here called Ernest, who gets into terrible trouble, that's all.
I was right. You are a Banburyist.
What do you mean?
You pretend to have a brother, Ernest, in town. I pretend to have a very ill friend called Banbury, in the country. You come to town when you want to help Ernest, and I leave town when I want to visit Banbury.
Well, I'm going to kill Ernest soon. Cecily's a little too interested in him. You see, I'm not a Banburyist.
But Banbury is so useful. The poor man's terribly unwell tonight, so I can't possibly go to dinner at Aunt Augusta's. I can come to dinner with you.
But I haven't asked you to have dinner with me.
I know, you are so forgetful.
Coming in.
Lady Bracknell and Mrs. Fairfax, sir.
Quietly to Jack.
Listen, if I take my aunt away for 10 minutes, you can ask Gwendolen to marry you. If I do that, can I come to dinner with you?
Oh, all right. If you want to.
Lady Bracknell and Gwendolen come in. Lady Bracknell looks at Jack coldly. Gwendolen and Jack stand together.
Good afternoon, my dear Algernon.
Good afternoon, Aunt Augusta.
Well, now I have some tea and one of Lane's nice cucumber sandwiches.
Going to the table.
Of course, Aunt Augusta.
Do come and sit here, Gwendolen.
Thanks, Mother. I'm fine where I am.
Looking at the empty plate, surprised.
Lane! Why are there no cucumber sandwiches?
There were no cucumbers at the market today, sir. I went there twice.
He goes out.
I'm terribly sorry, Aunt Augusta.
It doesn't matter now about tonight.
Oh, dear Aunt Augusta, I'm afraid that I can't be with you at dinner tonight. You see, I just found out that my friend Banbury is ill again.
He looks at Jack.
Again, this is very strange.
Yes, poor Banbury really is a very ill man.
Well, could you kindly ask this Mr. Banbury not to be ill on Saturday? I have some important dinner party and I need you to help me with the music.
I'll speak to him. He is terribly ill now, but I am sure that he will be fine again on Saturday. Now about the music. Shall we go and talk about it in the next room?
Thank you. Gwendolen, come with me.
Of course, Mother.
Lady Bracknell and Algernon go out. Gwendolen stays.
Nice day today, Miss Fairfax.
Please don't talk about the weather. If you have something to say to me, Mr. Worthing, please say it.
Miss Fairfax, since I met you, I've admired you more than any girl I've ever met. Since I met you.
I know, and I have always liked you too.
Oh, Miss Fairfax.
You see, I've always wanted to love a man called Ernest. It's a wonderful name. When I heard that Algie had a friend called Ernest, I knew that I would love you.
Do you really love me, Gwendolen?
Deeply, oh, my dear Ernest.
Oh, I'm so happy, but Gwendolen, can you only love me if my name is Ernest?
But your name is Ernest.
Yes, I know, but there are a lot of other nicer names. Jack, for example. It's a very nice name.
Jack? No, a very boring name. I could never love a Jack. Ernest is the only possible name.
Gwendolen, somebody must christen me at once. I mean, you must marry me at once.
Marry you, Mr. Worthing? Nobody has said anything about marriage.
Surprised.
Well, can I ask you now?
Now is a very good time, Mr. Worthing, and I must tell you that my answer will be yes.
Oh, Gwendolen.
Yes, Mr. Worthing? What have you got to say to me?
Gwendolen, will you marry me?
Of course I will, my dearest.
Jack kisses Gwendolen. Lady Bracknell comes in.
Mr. Worthing.
Mother, I'm engaged to Mr. Worthing.
I'm sorry, but you are not. When you are engaged, it is I who will tell you. Now go downstairs.
Unhappily.
Mother! I have a few questions for Mr. Worthing. Go downstairs and wait for me, Gwendolen.
Yes, Mother. She looks at Jack, then goes.
Are you a smoker, Mr. Worthing?
Yes, I'm afraid that I am.
That is fine. A man must have something to do. Now, I have always thought that a husband needs to know either everything or nothing. Which do you know?
After a short while.
I know nothing.
I'm happy to hear it. Well now, are your father and mother living?
I have lost both, my father and my mother.
Losing one is unlucky, Mr. Worthing. Losing both is a little careless, is it not?
You see, it was my mother and father who lost me. I don't really know who they were. I only know that it was kind old Mr. Cardiff who, well, found me.
Found you?
Yes, he gave me the name of Worthing because at the time he had a ticket for Worthing in his pocket. Worthing is in Sussex. It's a holiday town by the sea.
And where did he find you, this kind person who had a ticket for Worthing?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Very seriously.
Yes, a large black handbag. He got it from the cloakroom at Victoria Station.
The cloakroom at Victoria Station?
Yes, Lady Bracknell. They gave him the wrong bag. They thought that it belonged to him.
This is not a very good start in life.
Then could you tell me what I must do?
You really need to find either a father or a mother very soon, Mr. Worthing.
I can show you the handbag at any time.
Show me? What are you thinking of? My dearest daughter cannot possibly marry something from a station clockroom. Good morning, Mr. Worthing.
Lady Bracknell goes out. Algernon comes in singing.
Angrily.
Oh, be quiet, Algie.
What's wrong? Did Gwendolen say no?
Oh, everything was fine with Gwendolen, but her mother. What a terrible woman.
Ah, I see. So did you tell Gwendolen that you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
Nice, sweet girls must never hear things that they are true. Don't you know how to talk a woman?
Of course I do. If she is beautiful, I say wonderful things to her. If she isn't, I say them to another girl. But tell me, old boy, what about your brother Ernest?
Oh, he'll be dead by the end of the week. I'll say that the poor Ernest became ill and died in Paris.
Miss Cardew will be unhappy, won't she? I'd like to meet her, you know.
Well, you're not going to meet her, Algie.
Lane is coming in.
Miss Fairfax?
Gwendolen comes in. Lane goes out.
Gwendolen, my dearest love.
Algie, kindly turn your back.
Turning away.
Really, Gwendolen?
Ernest, we can never be married, but I'll always love you deeply. I'll write you every day. What is your address in the country?
The Manor House, Woolton, Hertfordshire.
Algernon smiles and writes on the back of his hand.
How long will you stay in town?
Until Monday.
Good. Now please call for Lane.
I'll take you to the door myself, my dearest one.
Jack and Gwendolen go out. Lane comes in.
Pack my suitcase, Lane. Tomorrow I'm going Bunburying. I'll be away until Monday.
Yes, sir.
He goes out. Algernon reads the back of his hand and smiles. Who is engaged to Ernest? The next day, in the garden of the manor house, Miss Prism is sitting under a tree, near a table with books on it. Cecily is cutting flowers.
Cecily, it's time for your Latin lesson.
Coming very slowly.
But I don't like Latin. It doesn't sound nice. And I am sure that I don't look nice after my Latin lesson.
Child, you know that Mr. Worthing wants you to work hard at your lesson.
Dear Uncle Jack, it's so very serious.
Mr. Worthing has many troubles in his life. He has no time for pleasure. He is always worried about that terrible young brother of his.
I'd like to meet that terrible young brother of his.
Cecily begins to write in her diary.
You must put your diary away, Cecily.
I'm writing the wonderful secrets of my life. If I don't, I'll forget them. Don't you write things, Miss Prism?
I once wrote a novel in my younger days.
Really, Miss Prism? How mother clever you are. Where is no novel now?
Lost, I'm sorry to say. Here comes dear Dr. Chasuble.
Come.
Dr. Chasuble, this is a pleasure.
Dr. Chasuble comes into the garden.
How are we today? Well, I hope, Miss Prism.
Miss Prism tells me that her head hurts. She'll feel better, I think, after a walk in the garden with you, Doctor.
Cecily, I did not say that my head hurts.
No, but I felt sure that it does.
Mr. Worthing is in town until Monday, isn't he?
Yes, he likes to spend Sundays in London.
Ah, yes, Mr. Worthing is not like his younger brother. He lives only for pleasure, I hear. Well, I'm sure that you want to go on with your lesson now, Miss Prism.
I think, dear doctor, that I will take a walk with you and find that my head that hurts a little, you know.
With pleasure, Miss Prism, with pleasure.
Miss Prism and Chasuble go out together. Merriman comes into the garden with a card on a silver plate.
Mr. Ernest Worthing has just arrived.
She takes the card and reads it.
Mr. Ernest Worthing before the Albany. Uncle Jack's brother.
Yes, he wants to speak to you alone, miss.
Ask Mr. Ernest Worthing to come here.
Yes, miss.
She goes back into the house.
I've never met a really wicked person before. I'm a little afraid. Oh dear, perhaps he'll look just like other people.
Algernon comes into the garden.
He does.
You are my little cousin Cecily, I'm sure.
I'm not little. I'm tall, I think. But I am your cousin Cecily, and you, I see, are my wicked cousin Ernest.
Oh, but I'm not wicked. Please, don't think that.
Unhappily.
Do you mean that you are good?
Surprised.
Well, I have been a little careless at times.
I'm happy to hear it.
Yes, now I think about it, I have been very bad.
Really? What is nice?
Being here with you is much nicer. I don't want to be bad anymore. Cecily, will you help me to be good?
I'm afraid that I've no time this afternoon.
Then I'll help myself. Yes, I feel better already.
You are looking a little worse.
That's because I'm hungry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think. Won't you come in and have something to eat?
Thank you. Can I have a flower to wear? I can't eat lunch without a flower on my coat. I like that one there.
Cut in the flower.
Why this one?
Because it's the most beautiful flower in the garden, and you are the most beautiful girl that I've ever met.
Putting the flower on his coat.
You really mustn't talk to me like this. Miss Prism never does.
They go inside. Miss Prism and Dr. Chasuble come back.
You are alone too much, big Dr. Chasuble. I think that you need to marry.
Marry, Mrs. Prism? Why? Many men of the church have stayed single all their lives.
If you don't marry woman, will never live. You alone single man are so exciting for woman.
But isn't a man interesting after he marries too?
A married man is only interesting to his wife.
And often not even to her, so people tell me.
That is perhaps true for some young woman in grey.
Dr. Chasuble looks surprised.
Like Freud doctor, when it's young and green you can't be sure of his fruits, always better and sweeter in later days.
Jack comes in very slowly, dressed all in black.
Mr. Worthing.
Dear Mr. Worthing, your black clothes. I hope that nothing terrible has happened.
Very seriously.
My brother.
Still living a life of pleasure.
Shaking his head sadly.
Dead.
Your brother Ernest is dead. Well, that will teach him a lesson.
Miss Prism, please. Dear Mr. Worthing, I'm so sorry. Were you with him at the end?
No, he died suddenly, in Paris.
Ah, I see. I'm so very sorry. Of course, I'll say a few words for you in church this Sunday.
Ah, yes. Talking about saying things in church. You don't know how to christen, don't you?
Surprised.
Kristen? Why? Whose baby were you thinking of?
Oh no, it's not for a baby, it's for myself.
Yourself, Mr. Worthing? But seriously, you have already had a christening.
I don't remember it. I'm not too old now, am I?
No, of course not. When would you like to have the christening?
About 5:30 this afternoon, if you're free then.
That will be fine, Mr. Worthing.
Cecily comes out of the house.
Uncle Jack, it's lovely to see you, but I don't like those clothes. Please go and change them.
Cecily, really child. Jack kisses Cecily on her head very seriously.
What's wrong, Uncle Jack? Don't look happy. I've got a lovely surprise for you. Your brother's here.
Who?
Your brother Ernest. He arrived half an hour ago.
Impossible, I haven't got a brother.
Don't say that. I know that he's done some bad things, but he's still your brother. I'll tell him to come out.
She runs into the house.
This is very happy news.
Happy? First, we hear that the man is dead, and now he back again. I think all very worrying.
Cecily comes back holding hands with Algernon.
Brother Jack, I'm here to say that I'm sorry for all the trouble that I've given you.
Jack looks at him angrily and does not take his hand.
Uncle Jack, please be nice. Ernest has told me about his poor friend Mr. Bunbury. You see, your brother is a kind person, really. Do shake hands with him.
Oh, he's told you about Bunbury, has he?
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake Ernest's hands, I'll never speak to you again.
Never?
Never.
All right, but this is the last time I'll do it.
He shakes Algernon's hand, still looking at him angrily.
How nice. Very good work, Cecily.
You will come with us, child.
Table, Miss Prism and Cecily leave.
Algie, I want you to leave immediately.
Merriman comes into the garden.
I have put all Mr. Ernest's suitcases, bags and hat boxes in the room next to yours, sir.
I can only stay a week this time, I'm afraid.
Merriman, Mr. Ernest is leaving at once. He has important business in town.
Yes, sir.
He goes back into the house.
That's not true. My only business is enjoying myself, and I'm enjoying myself very much here. Cecily is a sweet little thing.
Don't talk about Miss Cardiff like that. I don't like it.
And I don't like your clothes. You look stupid.
Well, will you go if I change my clothes?
Yes, if you don't take too long.
I hope that you enjoy your journey back to town. Your bumbering didn't go very well this time.
Jack goes into the house.
I think that this is a wonderful Bunbury. I'm in love with Cecily, and that is everything.
Cecily comes back into the garden.
Aren't you with Uncle Jack?
No, he's sending me away.
Then we have to say goodbye so soon?
I'm afraid that it's true. Oh, Cecily, can I speak openly? You are the sweetest, most beautiful, most wonderful person in all the world.
I like it very much when you speak openly, Ernest. I'd like to write your words in my diary.
She starts to write.
All the world. You can go on. I'm ready for more.
I love you deeply, widely, hopelessly.
Hopelessly? That's a strange word, isn't it?
But I do love you. You will marry me, won't you?
Of course. We've been engaged for 5 months.
5 months? But how did we get engaged?
Well, one day Uncle Jack told us about his wicked younger brother. So Miss Prism and I talked and talked about you, and then I found that I loved you.
My dearest, so when did we get engaged?
On the 14th of February, under this deal or tree. And the next day I bought myself this like a little ring in your name.
Did I give you this? It's very nice, isn't it?
Opening a box.
Yes, these are your letters.
But Cecily, I never wrote you any letters.
I know, I had to write them all for you.
Kissing her.
Oh, my dearest Cecily.
My dear Ernest, what nice hair you have. Oh, I've always wanted to marry a man called Ernest.
But don't you like any other names? Algernon, for example, isn't a bad name.
Oh no, I couldn't love a man called Algernon.
Taking his hat.
Cecily, I must see your Dr. Chasuble at once about some important business. I'll be back soon.
He kisses Cecily, then runs away down the garden.
What a sweet boy, and what nice hair.
Merriman comes out of the house.
Miss Fairfax is here to see Mr. Worthing.
Ask the lady to come out. You can bring tea.
Yes, miss.
Merriman goes inside and comes back with Gwendolyn.
Miss Fairfax?
He goes back to the house, going to meet her.
My name is Cecily Cardiff. What a very sweet name. I'm sure that we are going to be great friends. I already like you so much. I can call you Cecily, can't I? With pleasure. You'll always call me Gwendolyn, won't you? Of course, do sit down.
They sit.
Could I look at you through my glasses?
Of course, I like it when people look at me.
Taking her glasses and looking at Cecily very carefully.
Are you here on a short visit?
No, I live here.
Standing up, looking worried.
Really? Is your mother or perhaps an old aunt here too?
No, I live with my guardian, Mr. Worthing.
More worried.
Your guardian? Well, why didn't Ernest tell me? A girl so young and so...
Looking at Cecily.
I can't say that I'm happy about this, Cecily.
Excuse me, Gwendoline, did you say Ernest?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Ernest Worthing isn't my guardian. My guardian is his brother, his older brother.
Oh, I was worried for a minute.
She sits down again.
But Ernest never told me about a brother.
That's because there were troubles for a long time. But I'm happy to say that that's all finished and now Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged.
Kindly.
Dear Cecily, I think that you've made a small mistake. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me.
More kindly.
Dearest Gwendoline, I'm afraid that it's your mistake. Ernest asked me to marry him only 10 minutes ago.
She shows her diary.
That is strange because he asked me to be his wife yesterday at 5:30.
She takes out her diary.
I never travel with my diary. I like to have something exciting to read on the train. Dear Cecily, I'm so sorry.
Merriman comes to the table. He begins to put down dirty things. The girl tries to not show they are angry.
Would you like something, Miss Fairfax?
Sweetly.
Thank you, Miss Cardiff.
More sweetly.
Sugar?
In a bored voice.
No, thank you. Sugar is very out of date.
Cecily angrily puts 4 spoonfuls of sugar in a cup. In a hard voice.
Cake or bread and butter?
Coldly.
Bread and butter, please. You never see cake in the best houses these days.
Cecily gives her a large piece of cake. Merriman leaves. Standing up.
My tea full of sugar and cake when I ask for a bread and butter. I don't easily get angry, Miss Cardiff, but this is just too much.
Nothing is too much to keep my poor sweet Ernest away from a girl like you.
I never liked you from the start.
Jack comes into the garden. Seeing him.
Ernest, my dear Ernest.
Going to kiss her.
Gwendoline, my dearest. Wait, I have something to ask you. Are you engaged to that young lady? To our little Cecily? Of course not. Thank you. You can kiss me.
I told you that there was some mistake, Miss Fairfax. This gentleman is my guardian, Mr. Jack Worthing.
Pulling away from Jack.
Jack? Oh.
Algernon comes into the garden. Going to kiss Cecily.
My love. Wait, I must ask you, are you engaged to that young lady?
To dear Gwendoline? Of course not.
Thank you, you can kiss me.
I was sure that there was some mistake, Miss Cardio. That gentleman is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrieff.
Pulling away.
Algernon? Are you called Algernon?
I'm afraid that I am.
Is your name really Jack? It is. It has been Jack for years. Oh, my poor sweet Cecily.
My dear heart Gwendoline.
The girls kiss.
Just one question, Mr. Worthing. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to him. I'm afraid that I have no brother.
Surprised.
No brother?
None. I've never had one. So neither of us is engaged, Cecily.
This isn't a very nice surprise for a girl, is it?
No. Let's leave them here and go inside.
The girls look at the man coldly and go into the house.
This is terrible. You and your Banburying, Algie.
Yes, it's the most wonderful Banbury, isn't it?
No, it isn't. I love Gwendoline and I wanted to be engaged to her. That's all. Now look what you've done.
Starting to eat muffins.
And I just wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I love her.
How can you eat muffins at a time like this?
I always eat when I'm unhappy. It makes me feel better, and also I like muffins very much.
I really don't want you here, Algie. Can't you go?
You can't possibly ask me to leave. I haven't had any dinner also. I've just asked Dr. Chasuble to visit me at 5:45. under the name of Ernest.
Well, Dr. Traceable is going to christen me, Ernest, at 5:30.
Taking the plate of muffins.
We can't both be Ernest.
Have some fruitcake. I don't like fruitcake.
Algernon, why don't you just leave?
I haven't finished tea. There is one muffin left.
Jack sits down angrily. Algernon goes on eating. A handbag lost and found. A room in the manor house. Gwendolyn and Cecily are at the window. They are looking out into the garden.
They didn't follow us. Maybe it means that they're sorry.
They finished the muffins. I'm sure that means that they're sorry.
They're coming. We must be cold and silent.
Of course, it's the only thing to do.
Jack and Algernon come in singing.
We won't speak first.
Of course not.
Mr. Worthing, I have an important question.
Yes, and I have a question too. Mr. Moncrieff, why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
Because I wanted to meet you.
To Gwendolyn.
That's a good answer, isn't it?
Yes, dear, if you think that is true.
I don't, but I still a beautiful answer.
Well, that's what is important, isn't it? Now, Mr. Worthing, why did you pretend that you had a brother? Because you wanted to see me as often as possible?
You know that's true, Miss Fairfax.
I don't, but I won't worry about it.
To Cecily.
Are we happy then?
Yes, I mean no.
Well, let's both tell them together.
Speaking together.
Your names are still an impossible problem for us. That is all.
Speaking together.
Our names.
Is that all? But Dr. Traceable is christening us this afternoon.
To Jack.
You're going to do this terrible thing. Just for me?
I am.
To Algernon.
And are you ready to the same terrible thing to please me?
I am.
Oh, men are so strong, so wonderful.
Holding hands with Algernon.
We are.
My love.
She falls into Jack's arms.
My love.
He falls into Cecily's arms. Merriman comes in.
Lady Bracknell.
Lady Bracknell comes in. Merriman goes out.
Gwendolyn, what does this mean?
I am engaged to marry Mr. Worthing.
Come here and sit down at once.
To
You
Jack.
must never speak to my daughter again. Do you understand? Now, Algernon,
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
is this the home of your Mr. Bunbury?
Oh, no! Bunbury doesn't live here. I killed him. I mean, he died this afternoon.
That was very sudden. Well, it is good that he has decided what to do at last. Now, Mr. Worthing, who is that young person who is holding Algernon's hand?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardiff. I am her guardian.
Lady Bracknell looks coldly at Cecily.
I am engaged to marry Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
Do people usually get engaged so much in the country? Well then, I must ask some questions. Is Miss Cardiff's family from any of the London station, perhaps?
Coldly.
Miss Cardiff is the granddaughter of Mr. Thomas Cardiff of 149 Belgrave Square, London.
A good address, but I can't be sure that it is true, you know. Gwendolyn,
She stands up.
Gwendolyn,
Yes, mother?
we must leave. Oh, Mr. Worthing, I didn't ask you if Miss Cardiff had any money. It is not important, of course.
Oh, she only has about 130,000 pounds. Goodbye, Lady Bracknell. It was nice to see you.
Sitting down again.
Wait, Mr. Worthing, 130,000 pounds. Now that I look at Miss Cardiff again, I find here a very sweet young lady.
Looking
Algernon,
at Cecily smiling.
Algernon,
Yes, Aunt Augusta?
I agree. You can marry this dear child.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Cecily, my dear, you can kiss me now.
Kissing her.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
The marriage will be soon, I think. If people are engaged for long, they find out too much about the after person. That is never a good thing.
Excuse me, Lady Bracknell. I am Miss Cardiff's guardian, and I say that she cannot marry.
Can I ask why? Algernon is a fine young man. He has nothing, but he looks everything. What more can a young lady want?
I'm sorry, my answer is no. And in the Cardiff family, girls are not adults until they are 35. Then they can marry who they like.
That is no problem. 35 is a fine number. I know many ladies, all from the very best families, who have decided to stay 35 for years.
Cecily, I'll wait for you. You know that I will.
Yes, but I can't wait so long. I don't like waiting.
I see. Well, my dear Mr. Worthing, couldn't you think again and say yes to the marriage?
But my dear Lady Blackmore, it's all in your hands. If you agree to my marriage to Gwendoline, I'll agree to marriage of Algernon and Cecily.
Standing up.
You know that is impossible. Come, Gwendoline, it is time to go.
Dr. Chasuble comes in.
Everything is ready for the christenings.
The christenings? Isn't it a little early for that?
Early? But both these young men have asked me to christen them immediately.
I don't think that either of us needs a christening now, Dr. Chasuble.
I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Worthing. Ah, well, I must go back to the church. Merriman tells me that Miss Prism is waiting for me there.
With surprise.
Did you say Miss Person?
Yes, Miss Prism is Miss Cardiff's governess, a fine teacher and a dear lady. Here she comes now.
Miss Prism hurries in. Lady Bracknell looks at her.
There you are, dear Dr. Chasuble.
She sees Lady Bracknell goes white and begins to shake.
Oh, dear Lady Bracknell.
In a loud, hard voice.
Prism, come here. Where is that baby, Prism?
Everyone looks very surprised. Miss Prism comes near, with her head down, angrily.
28 years ago, you left my house with a baby boy in a pram. You never came back.
No,
A few weeks later, the police found the pram at midnight in an empty street. It had a very bad novel inside it, but no baby. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I don't know, I'm afraid.
You don't know, Prism?
That morning I also had a large handbag with me. In it was a novel which I was writing very carelessly. I put the book in the pram and I put the baby in the bag.
Very interested.
But what did you do with the handbag? I must know.
I left it in a station cloakroom.
Which station cloakroom?
Sitting down unhappily.
Victoria.
Very excited.
I must go up to my room.
He runs out. We hear loud noises upstairs. Everyone waits. He comes back with a large black handbag.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Look carefully at it before you speak.
It looks like my handbag.
She looks at it carefully inside and outside.
Yes, it is, I'm sure. Oh, I'm so happy to have it back after all these years.
Nearly crying.
Miss Prism, you have found more than your lost handbag. I was that boy, baby.
Very surprised.
You?
Kissing her.
Yes, madam.
Pulling herself away.
Mr. Worthing, I am not married.
Not married? Oh dear, well, it doesn't matter now. Mother, I still love you.
He tries to kiss her again.
Mr. Worthing, you have made a mistake. Ask Lady Bracknell. She can tell you who you really are.
Lady Brackner, I am so sorry to ask so many questions, but could you kindly tell me who I really am?
I'm afraid that you will not like this news. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrieff. So you are Algernon's older brother.
I knew that I had a brother. I always said that I had a brother. Algie, you've never talked to me like a brother.
Shaking hands.
Well, not until today, old boy.
To Jack.
My dearest, but what is your name?
Oh, I didn't think of that. Well, I must find out at once. Please tell me, Aunt Augusta, when Miss Prism put me in the handbag, did I already have a name?
Yes, you did. Your living father and mother gave you everything.
So, what was my name?
You were Brat's first son, so of course they christened you with your father's name.
Yes, but what was my father's name?
I can't remember. He was in the army. He was an unusual man, but I'm sure that he had a name.
Algie, can't you remember our father's name?
I'm afraid not. He died before I was a year old.
Well, I'll look in the army lists.
He takes a large old book.
Marksby, Moops, Moncrieff. First names: Ernest, Jack, Gwendolyn. I really am Ernest.
Ah, yes, he was called Ernest. Now I remember why. I have never liked the name.
My dear Ernest.
To Miss Prism.
Letitia.
Frederick.
Chasuble kisses her.
At last.
Cecily.
He kisses her.
At last.
Gwendolyn.
He kisses her.
At last.
To Jack.
You really must be serious, my dear boy.
Oh, but I am, Aunt Augusta, I am. For the first time in my life, I understand the importance of being earnest.
Jack Worthing.
Oliver Szaganek.
Algernon Moncrieff.
Cezary Cimoszyński.
Lady Augusta Bracknell.
Wiktoria Bęza.
Gwendolyn Fairfax.
Zuzanna Byliniak.
Cecily Cardiff.
Wiktoria Wicińska.
Miss Prism.
Małgosia Zdziarska.
Dr. Chasuble.
Maciek Tekieli.
Lane.
Bartosz Bujek.
Merriman.
Mateusz Dziarski.
Narrator.
Jakub tutaj.